All right, so it is coming to the end of March 2024, and I'm going to make a couple changes to the Wolf Warrior X. One being, I'm gonna swap out this old LT-01 display and the thumb throttle. Unfortunately, I do love the horizontal thumb throttle, but I picked up their newer display a year ago when it released, the NFC display, but because of the finger throttle, I have not been wanting to put it on the scooter. Wanted to ride out the thumb throttle as long as I could, but it'll tell me I have 2 battery bars when my voltmeter tells me I have 80%, etc. Some other issues, and this one has more options, is actually produced by Cabo to work with Cabo's controllers. I've plugged this in just to make sure it works, and it'll show full bars when this one will show 2 bars. Got 354 kilometers now on her, and I believe there's no point in keeping this red mount. Like, it takes up so little space on the handlebars, but I have a lot of space on the handlebars. Another thing I am not a fan of when using the trigger throttles is how far you must angle the front brake lever. In order to have a level trigger, I'm gonna have to pretty much point this brake lever directly towards the ground, and also how I like to have my brake lever a bit of space away from the grip. Put the brake lever first and then the trigger, because if I put the trigger second, the trigger is going to be too far away, so you really have no choice there. And having it raised, like with this mount, which also takes up a lot less room on the handlebars, although I have spacious bars as I put on the Wolf King GT bars, which are 750 millimeter compared to the stock of 640 millimeter. Unfortunately, I didn't have screws long enough to fit my back brake caliper to the mount it's on, and these being only 18 millimeter screws, although I have done both of the rotors. Metal militia. Once again, this one is cut pretty awkwardly and doesn't have a pro taper on the other side, so I have a new crash pad and some stoppers, some locks for the brake pads instead of using these metal clips and bending over. Probably gonna swap out the brake pads for some ceramics as well. Possibly swapping out these grips. Actually, probably swapping out these brakes that I currently have on, these Bucklows. Kind of a fake leather, red underneath with the black overlay on top, and I do like them. They're relatively girthy paws, but they're slippy. They're slippy. And then I have these modified motor parts, bar plugs, opposed to the plastic included set. Before I get to the point of this video, which is of course changing out the display and throttle, I'll first go over some of the grips I have. From left to right, we've got this CNC graphic pair. We got the ghost demon fucker with the bandana, giving up 2 middle fingers. These are thin, you can feel the bar through them, although they do have some grip. Next up, These Rock Bros, kind of a hard plastic with a rubber over. I meant to order red, so orange is a no-go. Then I've got these, which have the same tread as some Nike SBs of mine, so I believe they are pretty grippy for sure, and they just have one locking ring as opposed to these ones, which are dual locking. Then these are seen everywhere, very universally used and well regarded, just, you know, a plain grippy round grip. Then the stock Wolf grips, anyone who owns a Cabo or a Wolf knows those. We've got the Apollo Ghost stock grips, and then just recently a buddy dropped me off these, which are NAMI grips from a Klima specifically, and I could definitely see myself switching to these, because where these have so much grip, while these are great for just resting your hands on, I believe this is what you want if you're gonna be speeding 60, 70 down the road. All right, let's get to the point. Main focus of this is, of course, this new display slash throttle, and I'll compare it to the LT-01, which is what the thumb throttle I have on here. I'll compare it to the finger version, finger throttle. So using this new display is going to ensure that I have to use the key along with the NFC. All right, so let's compare the Cabo trigger to the old LT-01. Now, first things is the trigger itself. You can see it's a cheap plastic. It's pretty big. It looks like you could fit 2 fingers there. You know, it's decently sprung until you lose that magnet. And compared to the trigger here, you can see it is much smaller. The magnet, etc., is enclosed. A lot better sprung, much better sprung, and ergonomic as well. You're not gonna fit 2 fingers on there. It reminds me a lot of the Mini Motors Eye. The mount here is metal on both sides around and then we've got a metal backing, metal edging, and the plastic over the actual display. It's a lot less chunky than the LT-01, which is just plastic all around and is very, very cheaply made, cheaply produced, and cheap to buy as well. I mean, you could probably get these for like $20 CND, maybe that's 15 USD. Yeah, very cheap. So the Cabo one, you know, we have the power in a mode on the LT-01. On the Cabo, we have mode, we have an up, a down, and a power. Some additional settings that come with this one is with the LT-01, electric braking, EABS, is either on or off. On this one, we have off through levels 1 through 3. And the same goes for the acceleration. This one has either soft start or strong / regular. And this one, I believe, has 3 levels of acceleration. So without any further ados, let me shut the fuck up and we'll get to installing the display before figuring out which grips are going on. Alright, so let's remove the bar end, bar plug, and then the grip. Now there's one crucial thing I forgot. Perhaps I only have my brake lever on this far because I've got the brake cable. Pretty maxed out. Due to these being the stock handlebars and being quite a bit shorter. But let's see. Alright, so we got off the LT-01 along with the thumb throttle. Alright, so we got our display with the trigger on, and as I was saying, gonna have to aim this front brake pretty far downwards, and you want to keep this trigger level, and then so I can still hit the brake. But we do have enough slack here, it looks like. Put on the old bucklows, got our bar cap in, everything is secure, and we just gotta plug in our throttle. So we will fasten that as close to the brake lever as we can get. Okay, so we've got the throttle touching the brake lever, and that is pretty flush, a lot better than it was for sure. So just tighten this down very quickly, and let's give it a shot. Power up. The key and our power button. Got the headlight blinking. Set that. And we've got the lock symbol. Grab an NFC key and hold the NFC key, and we are unlocked. All right. Everything is working. All right, and to start up without using the NFC, using the password, just turn on the key ignition. If you don't have a key ignition, go right to this step, hold power, let it turn on, press the mode button once. It gives you this password screen, then just hit up 1 for 1,000. When you set it for 1,000, easiest way to do it. Then just mode for over, and in. And then for modes, the up and down key, and turbo, eco, and dual single. So we'll go up in mode 3, sine wave. You can hold it at a really slow speed, and then you can crank it up, which is 97 kilometers an hour without any weight on the scooter. That's gonna be high 70s or low 80s with some weight on it. And we've wrapped up our brake lines and cables, make it a little neater. Now more modifications to come.